This next piece of software we're going to work with is called Adobe Illustrator. It is a graphic design software package made by Adobe that allows you to create vector-based graphics. It's a little bit different than Photoshop because Photoshop is pixel-based. Vector graphics are scalable, which means you can take a very small vector graphic and stretch it out as big as a billboard or as small as a stamp, and you don't lose any resolution at all. So for this first trial, as we go through learning about Adobe Illustrator, we're going to go up to our File menu, or you can click Create New here. You can go File New. It's going to open up this window. You can see that I've done some different ones before, but if you click on Web or Print or Mobile, or you create your own width and height here, it doesn't really matter as we're just practicing right now. But I'm going to click Web and click on the common one. It is 1300 by almost 770 pixels. Click Create, and it opens up this screen right here. This is our canvas. This is where we're going to be creating our images. In the top left-hand corner, we have our selection tools. We'll be going over those throughout the quarter, and as we learn about the different features of Adobe Illustrator, we will be working with these and using these to do different things. The one we want to work with today is called the pen tool. The pen tool gives us the ability to do our drawings on the canvas and have them appear as we want them. Every time you click, it's going to create an anchor point. So this anchor point is the basis, the starting point for whatever graphic that I am creating. If I'm tracing an image, this will be the starting point. I'll have to come back to that eventually to finish up that part of the graphic. As I drag my mouse, you can see a blue line follows. The blue is the path that it's going to draw as I click someplace else. So when I create another anchor point, click, now I have a path. It's hard to see, but there is a black line behind this blue line, and this is the path from one anchor point to the next. Basically a large dot-to-dot drawing. One of the neat things that Adobe Illustrator has added is the ability to snap to horizontal and vertical axes. So when I move my mouse down here and I stop, it has a snap to guide that's kind of a fuchsia color, and it allows me to know that I'm exactly on that horizontal plane. If I click an anchor point and I go straight up in the air, you can see that now I have a vertical guide to help me out with where I'm going to place my next anchor point in a vertical setting. So when I click that one, I create my other anchor point and I bring it back. Maybe I'm going to make a house. Let's try that. Kind of a house looks like it's getting windswept. When I got to that last one, oops, I don't want to do that. There we go. Bring it back a little bit. As I go over to my last anchor point, you can see that the end of the pen is a circle. And what that allows us to do is know that we are back at the original anchor point. It does not show up at any of the other ones. In fact, if I go to any of the other anchor points, you can see that the pen turns into a minus sign. And that means that if I click there, boom, that one's gone. Undo. If I click here, boom, that one's undone. And now it connects the path from the current anchor point. Whatever was in the middle there, it flattens that line out. It creates a new path between the two that were left. So when I come over here and I am going to complete this path, I have a circle. I click, and now my path is complete. If I would like to move some of these anchors, if they're not exactly where I want them, this one's a little too far to the left, a little high maybe, I'm going to click or hold down the Command key on my Mac, and it creates a selection tool, and I can select the anchor point, and I can bring it back until it's where I want it to be. Arbitrary at this point. Whoops, kind of an angle. There we go, that's a little more square. I'm going to move this anchor point over a little bit so it's directly in the middle. Maybe bring it down so the roof doesn't have such a steep pitch. There we go. Perfect. Nice little house. Now, every time I click on one of these, you can see that the one that is active, the one that I've clicked on, it's the selected anchor. It is a full square. There's no circle. You see it, or open space. This one is empty. This one has not been selected. If I hold Command and click on it, now this one is the selected anchor point. I can Command and select a whole bunch of them, and now all of them have been selected, and all of them are able to be manipulated. One of the neat things with the Command key is it also gives you the ability to change it from a point to a curve. So if I click on one anchor point and I continue to hold down the Command key, I can drag this down and you can see how it turns into a curve. So now the top of my house has a rounded end. I can also do that here. Click on that one to make it active. Hold the Command key and bring it in a little bit, and it will go in only as far as it is able, until I get to this red mark, and that's as far as it's going to go. It doesn't matter how much farther I drag my mouse over here, that anchor point or the control handle there is not going to do anything that it can't do. So there we go. I'm going to click back up on this one and bring it back up to a point. I can select all of them at the same time and bring them all in. I could bring them all out. Whatever I need to do to make this part work. Down here towards the bottom, I'm going to bring the drawing down here as well. I have my ability to change the fill color and the stroke color. The stroke is the line that connects these anchor points, and the fill is the inside color that's going to be in here. So if I unselect my house and I change this by double clicking and choose a new stroke color, click OK, choose a new bright fill color. Now as I draw my house, this third point is going to start filling in. It was doing it previously, but I just had a fill color of white, which did not show. So this time when I click, it's going to start filling in from the original anchor point to the current one. So as I'm drawing this, it's going to fill it in. It looks like I have a complete square, but I am missing the path across the top. If I draw that, again, it's connecting. If I bring this back in this way, you can see how it cuts off that part. Undo. I'm just going to finish my house. Now if I hit Command and click off of it, you can see that I have a path around the outside and a fill color on the inside. If I Command click on this one to select it again, it defaults back to the white and black. If I Command and click on this one, it changes to whatever the default colors for this shape are. I also have the ability over here on the right hand side of my program, where I have the layers, libraries, and the properties tabs. The properties tab gives us the ability to change the colors as well. I can click on the fill color and change it directly from this location. I can also choose the stroke and choose any of the other stroke colors that I'd like. And then this also gives us the ability to change the size of the stroke. Right now I'm at 1 point. If I increase that, you can see the yellow start to overtake that light blue, because I'm making the stroke a lot wider. So every stroke on here now is going to be 19 points wide, and the fill is going to be that sky blue. One of the other options we have here in the appearance in the properties tab is the ability to change the opacity, or the alpha of the currently selected shape. And so what that does is let us give some select the whole thing there, move it over here. It makes it transparent, and all points of the current shape that is selected is transparent. So I have my stroke is transparent, as well as the fill color. So it does everything. All three of these are working together all at the same time. Back to 100%. And we're going to move this just out of the way. Let's get rid of it. Okay, so that's the first part, learning how to use the pen tool to draw, to click and draw straight lines from anchor points to anchor point, and using the path, the stroke color to color our path, using the fill color to fill in the background inside the shape, and the thickness of the stroke, the width of the stroke, to give it a little bit more bold or stand out a little bit more than just a one-point line. Now I would practice this drawing things. If you happen to click and hold and you start getting curves, don't worry about those right now. We're going to get into curves and stuff a little bit later. We don't want to worry about creating these curved shapes yet. That's the next step after we learn how to do straight line drawings.